It was 2:30 in the night. Amid the desolate hills of the Aravallis, our bike suddenly stopped and a girl's voice came from behind. "What's the rush? You just arrived." That night we realized the forest is never truly empty. Friends, there are many such places in India where everything seems normal during the day, but as night falls, the same paths belong to someone else. You must have heard about the Aravalli hills of Rajasthan. These mountains are considered even older than the Himalayas, and it is said the older the place, the deeper its shadows. This story was sent to me by a boy named Rahul, who lives in a small town called Sangod in Rajasthan. He had said, "Brother, even today I don't go out alone at night, because I have seen with my own eyes what no human should ever see." This incident happened in 2023, when Rahul was in 12th grade. He had a small group of friends, about 12 to 13 people, including both boys and girls. All of them studied in the same coaching center, and the teachers there were very friendly with the students. One day after class, everyone was standing outside talking, when someone jokingly said, "Guys, studies will continue anyway. Why not go somewhere for a trip?" At first, everyone laughed, but then the idea started turning into a real plan. Someone said, "Let's go to Mount Abu. It's the only place in Rajasthan where it's cold." Everyone liked the idea. Then someone suggested to the teacher, "Sir, you should come too. You and Madam should also come. The trip will be much more fun." The teacher first laughed, then said, "If you guys are really planning, I will come too. But there's a condition. Everyone stays together. No foolishness." Everyone immediately agreed. The plan went on for 3 days. Who will go? Who will not? How much will it cost? Where will we stay? Everything was decided. Finally, 11 people were confirmed. 6 boys, 5 girls, and the teacher and madam. The plan was, first, take the train to Udaipur, then rent bikes from there to Mount Abu. Everyone thought this will be the most memorable trip of our lives. Little did they know it would indeed be memorable, but because of fear. At 5 in the morning, everyone met at the station. The cold wind was blowing. Everyone had bags in their hands, and excitement on their faces. Rahul said that day nobody got any sleep at all. The train arrived, everyone boarded, and the journey began. Throughout the trip, laughter, songs, videos, photos, it felt like a movie was playing. Around 9 in the morning, everyone reached Udaipur. They spent the whole day sightseeing, visited the lake, the fort, took photos, and by evening everyone was tired. The plan was to leave by 5 p.m., but they got delayed watching a show. By the time they got the bikes and everyone was ready, it was already 8 p.m. The teacher said, "Look, if we get late on the way, we'll stop at some hotel. We won't travel much at night." Everyone agreed. 6 bikes were rented, 2 people per bike. Rahul had his friend Samira on the back. Everyone set off in a line. The teacher was at the front, the rest behind. The cold wind blew on the highway, and everyone felt this trip is perfect. Little did they know, the real journey was just beginning. After traveling about 80 to 90 kilometers, everyone felt hungry. But the problem was, there was no proper hotel on the highway. Some small dabas were visible, but all were closed. Some truck drivers were sitting somewhere, but the teacher said, "No, we won't stop here. The girls are with us." They kept moving forward. The cold increased, night was getting deeper, and the road slowly became deserted. Around midnight, after a turn, they saw a small dhaba. A fire was burning in front of it. 4 or 5 men were sitting there. The teacher stopped the bike. Everyone halted. Rahul said, "As soon as they reached near the dhaba, he felt something strange. There were no other customers, only those 4 men. All were silently staring at them." The teacher went forward and asked, "Can we get something to eat?" One man said, "Only khichdi can be made." The teacher said, "All right, make it." Everyone sat down. Near the fire, the wind was very cold, and the 4 men just kept watching them. Then Rahul and his friend Deepak went behind under the pretense of using the bathroom. Actually, to smoke a cigarette. Behind the dhaba, there was an empty field, and far away, an old broken bridge. Near the bridge, a tree, very dark. Both were standing, smoking. Then Deepak quietly said, "Bro, look over there." Rahul looked. Behind the tree, something was shining. At first he thought it must be an animal, but the shine was not just one spot, it was like 2 eyes. And suddenly, that thing came running from behind the tree toward them. Both dropped their cigarettes and it ran up to the front of the dhaba. Their hearts were pounding, but they didn't tell anyone. They thought maybe it was an illusion, but the real fear was about to begin. The food was finished, everyone washed their hands, and then the same question arose. What now? Should we stop here or head all the way to Mount Abu? A fire was burning in front of the dhaba, and the same 4 men were still sitting there, silent, without blinking, watching everyone. The teacher asked them, "Will there be any hotel ahead?" One old man said, "If you go via the highway, it will take time, and hotels will be far apart." Then he quietly added, "But there's a shorter route." Everyone looked at him. He said, 5 kilometers ahead from here, there will be a cut. From there, a path goes inside, through the forest. If you take the mountain road straight, you'll reach faster." The teacher asked, "The route is safe, right?" The man smiled slightly and said, "The route is fine. It's just that few people travel it at night." Hearing this, everyone laughed. Someone said, "Are you scared of ghosts or something?" The man didn't reply. He just kept adding wood to the fire. Rahul said, at that moment he felt these people were hiding something. But now everyone had decided. They would take the shortcut. It would save time. Everyone got on their bikes, engines started, and the convoy moved again. About 15 minutes later, they saw a small board on the highway. It read, Mount Abu, short route. The teacher signaled with his hand. Everyone turned. As soon as they left the highway, the road narrowed. Darkness all around. No shops, no houses, no vehicles, only the headlights and the cold wind. Rahul was riding at the back. Samira was sitting behind him. Samira quietly said, "Bro, this road doesn't feel right." Rahul said, "It's fine. It's just a forest." But the truth was, even he felt uneasy. About 20 minutes later, they reached the mountain path. Dense forest on both sides of the road. Then, the teacher's bike at the front suddenly stopped with a jolt. Everyone braked. One by one, all bikes came to a halt. Silence all around, so much silence that everyone could hear their own breathing. The teacher said, "See what happened." 2 boys went ahead, tried to start the bike, but the engine didn't make a sound. Rahul said, at that moment he felt the same sensation as behind the dhaba, as if someone was standing nearby, but couldn't be seen. Everyone stood by the roadside. Cold wind was blowing. The sound of the trees, it felt like someone was whispering. The girls were standing together. Madam said, "Hurry up and fix it. It doesn't feel good here." The teacher took out his phone, called the bike mechanic. The network was barely working. Somehow the call went through. The voice came from the other side. "It's night. No one can come." Everyone was worried. What to do now? Then a voice came from behind. "We need to go to the washroom." 4 girls. The teacher said, "Don't go too far inside." They moved a little off the road towards the trees. Rahul stood near the bike. Deepak was there too. Both were quiet. Suddenly, Rahul felt warm air near his neck, as if someone was very close, breathing. He jerked and turned around. No one. But he clearly felt someone was right there. He went to Deepak, quietly said, "Bro, I just felt someone behind." Before Deepak could respond, a scream came from the forest. Everyone ran that way. All 4 girls came running out. One was crying. The teacher asked, "What happened?" One girl said, "Someone was watching." Silence. The teacher asked, "Who?" She said, "Behind the tree." Someone was standing. Everyone took out torches, shone light into the forest. Nothing. But the atmosphere had changed. Now no one was joking. They called again. This time spoke to the mechanic. He said, "Take out the spark plug. There's dust." 2 boys removed it and checked. Indeed, there was dirt. Cleaned it, reinstalled it, kicked the bike. It started. Everyone sighed in relief. The teacher said, "No one will stop now. We'll go straight." Everyone lined up again. This time Rahul at the back. He himself said, "I'll stay behind," because he felt someone was following, and he wanted to see who. A little ahead, a bike suddenly stopped. Rahul also braked. On the front bike, Gaurav was riding and Nisha was on the back. Gaurav said, "Stop. She needs to go." Everyone said, "Hurry up." Nisha and Samira went towards the forest. Rahul stood on the road, Gaurav nearby, both silent. Rahul took out a cigarette, offered it to Gaurav. Gaurav said, "I don't smoke." Rahul laughed. "Try it once." Then a voice came from inside the forest. "Why are you talking so much? Give it to me." Both froze. The voice was clear, a girl's voice, but there was no third girl with them. Rahul whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. Then the same voice, this time closer. "After so many years, someone has come." The cigarette fell from Rahul's hand. He shouted, "Samira, come quickly!" No answer. Heart pounding. At that moment, both girls came out of the forest, but something was different. Samira was silent. Nisha was looking down. Rahul asked, "Why did it take so long?" Samira said, "Just like that." But the voice was not like hers. Rahul looked at Deepak. Deepak felt the same, but no one said anything. Everyone got on their bikes and moved again. They didn't know. The one now traveling with them was none of them. The night had grown deeper. The mountain path had become even more deserted, and the cold wind no longer brought comfort, it brought fear. Everyone was riding their bikes again, but now no one was laughing. What had once seemed like a fun trip now felt strange, almost sinister. Rahul said he kept feeling, again and again, as if someone was following them. He kept checking the rearview mirror, but behind, only darkness. For about 10 minutes, no one said a word. Only the sound of the bikes. The road was winding, dense forest on both sides. Sometimes the trees came so close that the headlight beams falling on their trunks made it seem as if someone was standing there. Rahul's bike was at the very back, no one behind him, and this fact frightened him the most. Samira was sitting behind him. Earlier she had been talking constantly, but now completely silent. Rahul asked, "What's wrong?" No answer. He asked again, "Are you scared?" A soft voice came, "No," but the voice was strange, as if it didn't come from the throat, but from somewhere else. Rahul said nothing. He just kept riding. On the mountain path, the air was very cold, but suddenly, Rahul felt intense heat near his back, as if something hot had touched him. He thought maybe it was the engine's heat, but a few seconds later he clearly realized Samira, sitting behind him, had come too close, so close that her breath was on his neck. Rahul said, "Sit straight, you'll fall." No answer. Just a soft laugh, slow, but strange. Rahul's hands trembled. Suddenly, from the front, the teacher signaled. Everyone stopped their bikes. On the roadside was a small open bend. The teacher said, "Let's stop for a while. Everyone must be tired." Everyone exhaled in relief. They got off. Some drank water, some stretched, but Rahul's attention was only on Samira. She got off the bike, but as soon as she did, she just stood there. No talking. No laughter, just staring toward the distant forest. Rahul went to her. "What's wrong?" she said softly. "Did you hear that?" Rahul was startled. "Hear what?" "Samira, someone is calling us." Rahul's heart stopped. "Who?" Samira raised a finger, toward the forest. "Over there." Everyone looked. Nothing. Just trees. The teacher said, "Stop it. No need to scare anyone." Everyone got back on the bikes, but now everyone felt something was wrong. The road had become narrower, and the darkness even more intense. Rahul again at the back. A few minutes later, he clearly heard the sound of footsteps, as if someone was running on the road. He checked the mirror. Nothing, but the sound, still there. Tap, 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 as if someone was running barefoot. Rahul increased speed. The sound grew louder. He sped up even more. The sound, too. Suddenly, Samira placed her hand on his shoulder and said, "Why are you running?" Rahul's throat went dry. I'm not running." Samira said softly, "They're with us." Rahul hit the brake. The bike stopped. The ones ahead stopped. Everyone looked behind. The teacher shouted, "What happened?" Rahul couldn't speak. Samira had stepped off and was standing in the middle of the road. The teacher came. "What happened?" Rahul said. "Nothing." The bike slipped. But then Deepak quietly said, "Bro, look at this." Everyone looked. On the road, in the dirt, barefoot footprints. But they weren't from someone coming from ahead. They had been following alongside, from behind, as if someone had been behind them for a long time. Everyone's faces changed. Madam said, "That's it. Go straight. Don't stop anywhere." Everyone moved again. But now, Rahul was terrified. He kept looking behind. Samira was silent again. Suddenly, she said softly, "Rahul?" He asked, "Yes?" She said, "If I get off, will you stop?" Rahul was startled. "What?" "If I get off, you won't leave me behind, right?" Rahul said, "Are you crazy? Why would you get off?" A few seconds of silence. Then the same laugh, slow, but this time like two people laughing together. Rahul accelerated the bike. Now he just had to reach Mount Abu. No matter what, just get out of this forest. But before the forest ended, what was about to happen was something knows. No one could remain normal after. About 20 minutes later, in the distance, a small temple appeared. By the roadside, a lamp was burning. The teacher signaled, "Everyone stop." Everyone stopped their bikes. Got off. The teacher said, "First, pay respects to God, then we'll move ahead." Everyone walked toward the temple. But Samira stayed where she was. Madam said, "Come." Samira said, "I'm not coming." "Why?" "Just not." Her voice was heavy. The teacher looked at Rahul. Rahul said nothing, but fear was clear on his face. The teacher understood. He said softly, "Everyone go inside." Then to Rahul, "You come here." Rahul told him everything. The daba, the voice, the footprints, the laugh, everything. The teacher's face turned pale. He said, "Call the priest." And from here, everything was about to change. The small temple by the roadside, between the mountains, near the dense forest, at around 4:30 in the morning, there was a single lamp burning and the faint sound of a bell. It felt as if the place existed for a reason. All the boys and girls stood in front of the temple, but no one had the courage to go inside. Only the teacher stepped forward. He softly called out, "Panditji, is anyone here?" A cough came from inside. A few seconds later, an old man emerged. White beard, a large tilak on his forehead, and eyes. Very sharp. He looked at everyone one by one. Then his gaze stopped on Samira, who stood alone by the roadside. She wasn't even looking toward the temple. The priest asked softly, "Why isn't this girl coming inside?" No one could answer. The teacher looked at Rahul. Rahul whispered, "Panditji, something is not right." Without asking anything, the priest said, "Everyone come inside, except the girl." Everyone was shocked. Madam asked, "Why?" The priest said in a stern voice, "Whoever is with her will not come inside." It was as if electricity ran through everyone's body. Everyone went inside the temple. A small room, a Shiva lingam in the center, Havan ashes in one corner, old photos on the walls. The priest half closed the door, then softly said, "Now, tell the truth. Where did you come from? And what happened on the way?" The teacher told the whole story, the daba, the forest, the voice, the barefoot footprints, and Samira's change. The priest listened without blinking. Then he took a deep breath and said, "You all came from the route where no one goes at night." Everyone was silent. Rahul asked, "Why?" The priest said, "Because there no one survives alone." The priest began speaking slowly. Many years ago, near that forest, there was a small village. A family lived there, and they had a daughter. Very simple, very quiet. But one night, some boys drunk were passing through that route. Everyone's hearts raced. The priest continued, "They saw that girl, and did something terrible to her." Tears came to Madam's eyes. The priest said, "The girl reached home alive, but 2 days later, her body was found. No one knows whether she took her own life or was killed." After that, the priest paused. From outside the temple came the sound of wind. Everyone turned back together. The priest said softly, "After that, the family left the village overnight, and since then, on that route, the girl wanders alone." Rahul asked, "But why did she go to Samira?" The priest looked at him, then said, "Because you all are of the same age. And whenever a group of boys goes through that route, she realizes the same people have returned." A chill ran through everyone's body. Deepak asked, "So, what will happen now?" The priest said, "Now that girl has come with you." Silence inside the temple. The teacher asked, "Is there any way to survive?" The priest was silent for a moment, then said, "There is, but it's not easy." At that moment, from outside the temple, a soft laughter began. Everyone froze. Madam grabbed the teacher's hand. The laughter came again, this time clear, a girl's voice. But it was not Samira's. The priest immediately said, "No one go outside." But then there was a faint knock on the door. Tap, 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 tap. Everyone's breath caught. Then a voice came from outside. "Open the door." Rahul's heart almost stopped. The voice was Samira's. But there was something else in it, as if two people were speaking together. Madam began crying. The teacher said to the priest, "Do something." The priest immediately picked up a plate, took out a lemon, then said, "Everyone stay quiet." He began chanting mantras. From outside came another voice, "Open, I want to come in." This time, the door began shaking on its own. Tap, 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 loudly. Madam screamed. The priest chanted loudly, then said to Rahul, "Do not open the door, no matter what happens." But the next moment, the door opened by itself, and in front stood Samira. Hair loose, eyes red, and her face was not the same as a moment ago. The priest shouted, "Step back." Samira laughed, slowly, and said, "After so many years, someone has come." Inside the temple, everyone screamed, and from here, the most dangerous part began. The temple door had opened on its own, and standing in front was Samira. But She no longer looked like the girl who had been laughing on the bike just a few hours ago. Her hair was spread across her face, eyes red, and a crooked smile on her lips. Everyone inside the temple stepped back. Madam cried out, "Samira, come inside." Samira tilted her head slowly and said, "Inside? I'm already inside." Her voice was not one. It sounded as if two voices were speaking together. Rahul's hands began to tremble. Panditji immediately stepped forward. He sprinkled Ganga water on the ground and shouted, "Stop right there!" Samira took a step forward, but as her foot neared the Ganga water, she suddenly screamed, a scream so piercing that it hurt everyone's ears. The priest immediately picked up a plate. From it, he took a lemon, ash, and red thread. He told the teacher, "Hold the girl. Do not let go, no matter what happens." The teacher and two boys stepped forward. At first, Samira was laughing. Then suddenly, she jerked her hand so hard that one boy fell down. Her strength was not normal. The priest shouted, "Do not let go. This is the same one who haunts that route." Rahul and Deepak also grabbed her. Somehow she was seated inside the temple. Samira laughed loudly, then suddenly began crying, then screaming. Then in a very soft voice she said, "I want to go home." Madam cried, "Panditji, hurry." The priest took the lemon in his hand. Chanting mantras, he began moving it above Samira's head, once, twice, 3 times. Then he said, "It must be rotated 21 times. Inside the temple, only the sound of the mantra echoed, interspersed with Samira's laughter, 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. As soon as the 21st rotation was done, Samira suddenly screamed loudly, "No!" Her voice was not a girl's, very heavy, very deep, as if it were someone else's. The priest immediately struck the lemon to the ground, cut it into 4 pieces, then threw the pieces in all 4 directions. As soon as the last piece fell, Samira's body jolted and fell backward, and she fainted. Silence inside the temple. Everyone's breath caught. The priest spoke softly, "She is not gone yet, but leaving now." A few minutes later, Samira's breathing began to normalize. Madam held her head in her lap. Rahul stood outside, his hands still trembling. The priest came outside. The teacher also came along. The teacher asked, "She's okay now, right?" The priest did not answer directly. He asked, "Did you all stop at that dhaba?" Rahul was startled. "Yes." The priest said, "Was there an old bridge there behind?" Rahul's heart raced. "Yes." The priest closed his eyes, then said, "That's where it came with you." The teacher asked, "But why?" The priest said, "Because that place was its last place, where the worst had happened to it." Everyone was silent. The priest said, "Any group of boys who stops there at night, she captures one of them. But this time," the priest looked at Rahul, "this time she took the girl." Rahul's throat went dry. The priest said, "Stay here until morning, then go straight via the highway. Do not return by that route." Everyone agreed. Until morning, they stayed near the temple. The sun rose, birds began to sing. Everyone felt it was finally over. Samira stood up, completely normal. She remembered nothing. Everyone exhaled in relief. They got on their bikes and rode toward Mount Abu. But the story did not end here. 3 days later, everyone returned to their city. Life became normal again. Everyone thought it was just a terrifying night. But a week later, Rahul got a call from Deepak. His voice was trembling. "Brother, something is wrong." Rahul asked. "What?" Deepak said. "Have you noticed, since that night, Samira is no longer the same?" Rahul stayed silent. Deepak said, "She talks alone. At night she goes to the terrace, and sometimes she laughs." Rahul's heart began racing. That very night, Rahul called Samira. She answered, silent for a few seconds. Then a voice came. "Hello." But it was not Samira's voice. It was the same voice that had come in the forest. Slow, broken, and then laughter came over the phone. Slow, long, terrifying. And the final words, Rahul could never forget. "I had already left, but you all brought me along." The call ended. After that day, Rahul never traveled the mountain route at night again. And he says the Aravalli forests are still not empty, because some paths are roads in the day, and at night, someone else's home.